All right, today we're diving into the feathers and wings case. And this one, it's a powerful story about how a series of seemingly small oversights can spiral into something truly devastating.
This right here, this is the moment everything changed. 1 minute, it's a normal day at work. The next, a worker is found on the floor, unconscious, bleeding from a head injury. A ladder collapsed beside them. I mean, it's a shocking scene, right? But the real story here, the one we really need to talk about, isn't just about the fall itself.
Because you see, this was no freak accident. Not even close. This was the final, completely predictable link in a long chain of failures. We're talking about a broken safety culture, some really poor leadership, and just so many missed chances to do the right thing.
So the big question is, how does it get this bad? Well, in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to deconstruct. We'll trace the exact steps that led to this injury. We'll peel back the layers on the leadership and the system failures that allowed it to happen. And, most importantly, we'll look at the practical stuff that could have stopped this tragedy in its tracks.
Okay, so first up, let's piece together the timeline. It's crucial to understand the play-by-play of how a piece of equipment everyone knew was faulty ended up being used.
So get this, it all goes down in less than 48 hours. On day one, a worker does the right thing. They find this busted ladder, see the faulty lock, and they put it by the trash, intending for it to be thrown out. Simple, right? But then that night, the managing director comes along, sees the ladder, and, assuming someone just left it out, puts it right back in storage. No questions asked. And of course, the very next morning, another worker, worker A, needs a ladder, grabs that exact one, and falls. It's just a perfect storm of bad communication and terrible assumptions.
Yeah, a sequence of events like that, it doesn't just happen. It's not bad luck. The investigation points a finger directly at the top. So let's talk about the leadership, or maybe the total lack of it.
You know, the person in charge, the managing director, they're the one who sets the tone for the entire company. And at Feathers and Wings, that tone was basically, I'm not interested. Just total disconnection and neglect.
And when you look at it, the failures are just so clear and consistent. A total lack of visible commitment to safety. Workers' concerns just brushed off. And the big one, cutting costs was way more important than keeping people safe. Top it off with basically zero effective communication, and you've got a recipe for disaster.
This quote from the report really says it all, doesn't it? If the boss is always hiding in the office on the phone, how can they possibly know what's actually happening on the ground? You just can't understand the real risks your team is facing every day if you're not there to see it. This is a classic case of managing from a distance, completely out of touch.
And think about the message that sends to the team. When younger workers tried to raise a red flag, they were just told the MD was too busy. So what happens? People just stop trying. They learn that their concerns don't matter. And that creates a culture of silence, where nobody reports anything. Not a bad attitude, and certainly not a broken ladder.
And if you want to know what the real priority was, look no further than this. To keep costs down, the MD just decided the bird keepers, who probably had zero training for this kind of work, would handle it all. It's just a blatant example of putting the bottom line way, way ahead of people's safety.
But look, as bad as the leadership was, this goes deeper. It wasn't just about one person's bad decisions. The entire system was broken. We're looking at a much, much bigger picture of neglect here.
So, every safe company has something called a health and safety management system. Think of it as the backbone for safety. It's not just some dusty binder on a shelf, it's the actual, formal game plan for managing risks and making sure you're following the law. And Feathers and Wings, they just didn't really have one that worked.
And this pretty much sums it up perfectly. Yeah, they had a safety policy, technically, but it was from 2018, and it wasn't even posted where anyone could see it. I mean, what's the point? A policy that's locked away and out of date is completely useless. It's a huge red flag that safety was just about ticking a box, not something they actually cared about.
And let's be clear, we're not just talking about mistakes here. These were actual breaches of the law, the Health and Safety at Work Act. Not providing safe equipment, that's the faulty ladder, check. Failing to ensure safe access, that's the consultant just wandering around wherever they wanted. Even the small stuff, like having food prep right next to the break area, that's a breach too. Each one of these on its own is a problem. Together, it shows the whole system was failing.
So if your whole system is broken, how are you supposed to spot dangers before they turn into accidents? Well, that's where safety monitoring comes in. And, no surprise here, Feathers and Wings was failing at both kinds, the before and the after.
You know, it's pretty telling that the MD didn't even know the difference between an inspection and an audit. It's simple, really. An inspection is a snapshot. It's like kicking the tires on your car to spot an immediate problem. An audit, on the other hand, is the big picture. It's like checking the entire car factory to see if the process of building cars is safe and effective. You absolutely need both. And F&W, they weren't really doing either one right.
And then there's what you do after something goes wrong. You have to learn from it, right? That's called reactive monitoring. It's where you dig into accidents and even near misses to figure out what the heck went wrong so you can make sure it never, ever happens again.
And worker AA's fall, that's a textbook example. A fall from that height causing unconsciousness is what's called a Ritter reportable incident. Now, that's not just bureaucratic paperwork. It's a critical piece of data. It's a giant flashing sign that says, hey, your system failed. And it's supposed to trigger a whole formal process to investigate and fix the root cause.
So where do you even start? How do you fix a safety culture that's this broken? Well, I can tell you one thing, it's not as simple as just buying a new ladder. You have to rebuild the whole thing right from the ground up.
Real lasting change, it always starts with people. And it has to start the second a new person walks in the door. For a real safety culture to take root, a proper, thorough induction for new employees isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely non-negotiable.
So what does a good one look like? Well, first things first, you make it crystal clear that safety is a top priority here, no exceptions. Step 2, you give them the practical tour. Show them exactly where the first aid kits are, the emergency exits, the muster points. And step 3, you empower them. You explain what their own responsibilities are under the law, not just for their own safety, but for the safety of everyone around them.
Because when you do it right, a strong induction does something amazing. It turns every single new hire into a safety champion. It builds this shared understanding, this collective feeling that we're all in this together, right from their very first day on the job.
So the story of Feathers and Wings is a huge cautionary tale. It shows us how a bunch of small failures in communication, in leadership, in basic systems can all line up just right to create a real tragedy. And it leaves all of us with a really important question to ask ourselves. What's the faulty ladder hiding in your workplace? What's that warning sign that's being ignored? Or that concern that keeps getting dismissed? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it?